For most of the last 30 years, Chinese car was shorthand for cheap, poorly built, and years behind whatever Germany, Japan, or the United States was doing. That reputation is almost completely detached from reality. Chinese manufacturers aren't just catching up on software, battery technology, charging speed. In several specific categories, they've moved ahead of the brands that used to set the benchmark, and they're doing it at prices that undercut the competition by a wide margin. This is a countdown of 10 Chinese cars that have gone toe-to-toe with Western engineering and won, starting with number 10. MG is technically a British badge now owned by China's SAIC, and the MG4 is the clearest example of what that ownership structure can produce when it's done right. It's a compact electric hatchback aimed directly at cars like the Volkswagen ID.3 and the Renault Megane E-Tech, and it consistently beats both of them on price while matching or exceeding them on how it actually drives. Reviewers have repeatedly singled out the MG4's steering feel and chassis balance as genuinely fun in a segment where most electric hatchbacks feel numb and appliance-like. What makes the MG4 notable isn't a single standout spec, but it's that SAIC didn't cut corners to hit its price point. Usable range, a properly sorted suspension, and an interior that doesn't feel like an afterthought all show up in a car that regularly costs several £1,000s or dollars less than its closest Western equivalents. It's proof that the cheap because it has to be era of Chinese cars is over. The Tiggo 8 Pro is a practical, mid-size SUV, and that's exactly why its win at the 2026 CarWow Car of the Year Awards matters. It beat out established, well-funded competitors by doing the unglamorous things extremely well. A smooth, refined plug-in hybrid powertrain, a spacious and solidly built interior, and a price that undercuts comparable SUVs from Ford, Kia, and Hyundai by a meaningful margin. Chery's engineering has quietly matured to the point where the Tiggo 8 Pro doesn't need an asterisk next to its praise. It's not impressive for a Chinese SUV. Reviewers are simply calling it one of the best SUVs available at its price point, competing directly against Western and Korean rivals, rather than existing in a separate lower expectations category. The Atto 3 is BYD's answer to the compact electric SUV segment that Tesla's Model Y and various European rivals have dominated for years, and it competes on nearly every front that matters to a mainstream buyer. It offers over 260 miles of real-world range, fast charging capability that keeps pace with its Western rivals, and BYD's Blade battery technology, which uses a lithium iron phosphate chemistry specifically engineered to resist the thermal runaway risk that's affected other EV battery designs. The Atto 3's cabin leans into a genuinely tech-forward, slightly quirky design rather than copying anyone else's dashboard layout. And it does all of this while consistently pricing below comparable Tesla and European EV offerings. BYD has used exactly this formula, matching or beating the specs while undercutting on price to become the world's largest seller of plug-in vehicles by volume. And the Atto 3 is one of the clearest examples of why that strategy has worked. XPeng built its reputation on being one of China's most software-focused automakers, and the G6 is where that focus shows up most clearly. It offers real-world usable range paired with genuinely fast DC charging, and its advanced driver assistance suite is frequently cited by reviewers as being competitive with, and in some specific scenarios, more capable than comparable systems from Tesla and the major German luxury brands. The G6's interior build quality has also closed a gap that used to be one of the most reliable criticisms of Chinese EVs: visibly solid materials, tight panel gaps, and an infotainment system that doesn't feel like a tacked-on afterthought. It's a strong signal that XPeng isn't trying to compete only on price anymore. It's trying to win on the actual experience of using the car every day. NIO's ET9 is the company's flagship sedan, and it was built specifically to compete in the segment German luxury brands have owned for decades: large, tech-laden executive sedans with serious autonomous driving ambitions. It pairs a genuinely long real-world range with a premium interior and an advanced self-driving system, positioning it as a direct alternative to cars like the Mercedes EQS and BMW's top-tier electric sedans, at a price that still typically comes in below them. NIO has also built its own battery swap infrastructure across China, letting ET9 owners exchange a depleted battery for a full one in a matter of minutes rather than waiting to charge. An infrastructure advantage that no Western luxury brand has matched at scale. It's a different approach to solving the same range anxiety problem, and for owners within NIO's swap network, it's arguably a better one. For years, the ultra-luxury minivan segment in Asia was essentially uncontested territory for the Toyota Alphard and Lexus LM, two models with no serious domestic Chinese rival anywhere close to their level of comfort and prestige. The Zeekr 009 was built specifically to close that gap, offering executive-style captain's chairs, a premium sound system, and an electric powertrain with genuinely usable range, all wrapped in an interior that competes directly with what Lexus charges significantly more for. The 009 has become one of the standout examples of Chinese manufacturers identifying a segment Western and Japanese brands assumed was safe from disruption, and building something specifically engineered to take share from it. A pattern that's shown up again and again across nearly every category on this list. Hongqi carries a level of historical weight no other Chinese brand can claim. It's the mark that's produced China's official state cars for decades, which gives it a kind of built-in gravitas that newer EV startups simply can't manufacture. The H9 is Hongqi's flagship luxury sedan, and it leans fully into that heritage with hand-finished interior materials, a genuinely opulent cabin, and design details clearly built to evoke the same sense of occasion that Rolls-Royce and Bentley trade on. Where the H9 separates itself from being just a nostalgia play is the technology underneath. Modern driver assistance systems, a fully digital cockpit, and refinement levels that reviewers now discuss in the same breath as established luxury sedans from Mercedes and Audi, rather than treating it as a curiosity. It's a brand using its own history as a genuine competitive advantage, not just a marketing footnote. Xiaomi is a consumer electronics company that had never built a car before entering the market, and the SU7 Ultra is the result of that entry, taking almost everyone in the auto industry by surprise. In June, the SU7 Ultra set a Nürburgring Nordschleife lap time of 7 minutes and 4.957 seconds for a production electric car, beating the Porsche Taycan Turbo GT with the Weissach package by a margin that stunned reviewers who'd assumed a German brand with decades of motorsport pedigree would hold that title comfortably. That record didn't even survive very long. A Chinese rival broke it a few months later, which says as much about the current pace of the entire industry as it does about the SU7 Ultra specifically. But being the car that first beat Porsche's own benchmark hypercar around the most demanding circuit in the world, on a company's first serious performance model, remains one of the single most dramatic moments in this entire shift in the balance of automotive power. Built through a partnership between Huawei and JAC Group, the Maestro S800 was designed with one specific target in mind: the Mercedes-Maybach S-Class, long considered the default choice for chauffeured, ultra-luxury sedan buyers in China. Since launching in 2025, the S800 has delivered more than 17,000 units and has held the #1 sales position in China's ultra-luxury sedan segment, cars priced above roughly 700,000 yuan, for around 8 consecutive months. The S800 backs up that sales performance with Huawei's full software and driver assistance stack, giving buyers a car that competes with Maybach on materials and craftsmanship while offering a more advanced digital experience than Mercedes currently ships in the same price bracket. For a segment of the market that Mercedes has effectively owned in China for decades, watching a Huawei-backed challenger take the top sales spot is exactly the kind of result that gets noticed in Stuttgart boardrooms. At the very top of this list is a car that didn't just compete with Western hypercars, it beat their most iconic benchmark on their own turf. In October, the Yangwang U9 Extreme lapped the Nürburgring Nordschleife in 6 minutes and 59.157 seconds, becoming the first production electric car ever to break the 7-minute barrier on that track, and slicing more than 5 seconds off the previous electric car record. That lap time puts it in the same company as the Lamborghini Aventador SV and the naturally aspirated Porsche 911 GT3, two combustion icons that needed a fraction of the U9's power to get around the same track at a similar pace. The U9 Extreme backs that lap time up with a certified top speed of 496.22 kilometers per hour, making it the fastest production car in the world in a straight line, electric or otherwise, and it does it running 4 independent electric motors on a 1,200-volt architecture, well beyond what most manufacturers, Western or Chinese, are currently running in a production vehicle. BYD is limiting the Extreme to just 30 units, priced from around 1.68 million yuan, roughly $230,000, a genuine hypercar price. For a genuine hypercar that happens to have humiliated some of the most storied names in motorsport history on their home track. Looking at this list as a whole, the pattern isn't subtle. Chinese manufacturers are winning in budget hatchbacks, mainstream SUVs, luxury sedans, executive MPVs, and now outright hypercars, against German, Japanese, and American brands that have had a 100-year head start. The gap that used to separate Chinese car from serious car hasn't just narrowed. In the categories on this list, it's closed entirely, and in a few cases, it's reversed. If you want a deeper look at any single car on this list, let us know which one in the comments, and subscribe for more coverage of the companies reshaping the entire auto industry.